Here comes Deaxz and EasyQuix.
Either
Coming
that or
at
you
you
let
fast
it
with a podcast. Break it down. Get it in your ears now fast. Quix, Deaxz, cast, pods.
Welcome back to Two in the Basement, a Dead by Daylight podcast where we talk all things DBD. My name is Deaxz, and I am bringing you a solo podcast as my co-host is deep in the fog. Today I will be talking to a fellow content creator and good friend of mine, Jeliottie. We'll be focusing mostly on Dead by Daylight and her journey, but also learning a bit more about her as a content creator. There may even be a special reveal of something that she has upcoming. Let's get straight into the good stuff. Would you like to introduce yourself, Jel?
Yeah, so my name is Jeliottie. I am a 23-year-old streamer from the UK. I have been streaming for around about 9 months, but I have been playing DBD for around about 6 or 7. I am ex-cabin crew, so I used to be an air hostess before this. I live in Manchester, the UK, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's awesome. So we were talking a little bit before, but from November you've been streaming. So did you start kind of streaming because of like COVID and everything, or is it something that you've always wanted to do?
Yeah, so it was kind of a COVID related thing, but at the same time, I'd always wanted to be something, but I didn't know what it was. I always enjoyed like YouTube and things like that, but I didn't really know where I wanted to go with it. And I guess COVID kind of had an impact because being in the airline industry, I wasn't flying anymore, and I actually sadly wasn't furloughed. I kind of technically lost my job, so I was working at a local supermarket type of thing, and I guess in my free time I kind of looked into streaming, and then Christmas was coming up and I wanted maybe to try out like getting a PC for Christmas, and yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. So for me, when I started, it was just one of those things where, the same as you, I knew I wanted to stream. I knew I had wanted to create something, but I just didn't know how. And I was basically Australia has terrible internet. I have terrible internet. Well, I had terrible internet. And my excuse always was, I can't stream because I have terrible internet. So I just put it off. Like, I wanted to start streaming like 5 years ago, but I didn't have the internet for it. So one day I just said, okay, I'm going to add internet data onto my phone, and I'm going to start streaming off my 4G on my phone. And if it's bad quality, it's bad quality, but at least I will be doing it and like actually trying and giving it a shot. And I feel like, I guess it's the same for you. Like, COVID gave you that little push, but you've probably wanted to do it for a while, and you were able to just go, you know what, I'm just going to start it and then see where it takes you. And it's taken you crazy places. So you're already, in less than a year, you've become partnered on Twitch, which is amazing.
Thank you.
It's getting partnered on Twitch is not, it's not the end of everything, but it's the highest achievement really you can get on Twitch, going, starting from affiliate and everything. So especially in under a year, so you should definitely be super proud of yourself for that.
Thank you.
So you said you'd been playing DBD for 6 months.
Yeah.
But you've been streaming since November. So what did you kind of like start out streaming then?
So for me, when I first started streaming and playing games, I just going back a little bit. When I first started, I obviously didn't have my PC. I didn't have the means to play any games. So I was always watching people like Markiplier and PewDiePie. They were kind of like my big inspirations. Those big sort of goofy characters that were playing indie games, horror games is kind of like always been my thing. I've never been a first person shooter type of gal. Things like Warzone, and I mean, I did play a bit of Fortnite, but like those types of things would never, it was never really for me. I was always like I don't know, like I used to play games on stream such as Song of Horror, Devour, I'm trying to think of the other ones, Phasmophobia. I kind of liked the indie horror style games. Yeah, so that was kind of like what I was streaming for the first couple of months. And then one of my friends from college, I got back into contact with him because obviously I'd been posting on my Instagram that I'd started up this Twitch channel, and it's really funny because when I first started streaming, he went by a different name. So for the longest time, he was one of my really loyal viewers, but I didn't realize who it was because he didn't address that it was him. So his name was, he won't mind me saying, but his name was Nice Bean on the internet and in my chat. And I was like, oh, this guy's really nice, and he would always be there to support and stuff. And then one day I announced that I was going to try out this game, Dead by Daylight, because I wanted a horror game that was kind of a little bit more relevant. And obviously at the time I didn't realize that Dead by Daylight isn't really like I thought it was going to be like a scary horror game, and I didn't really understand what it was. I'd never heard of it before, and I was like, right, okay, guys, I'm going to play this game. And Nice Bean in the chat was like, oh, I can play with you if you want. And I didn't realize it was like a multiplayer thing. And we started playing it, and then that's when I realized it was my friend from college. I was like, oh my god, you never told me. It was
just hiding in plain sight this whole time.
Yeah, he was like, well, I didn't think it was relevant. And I was like, what? How did you not?
It's pretty relevant if I know you in real life. If I know you in real life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was like, right, okay. And then from there, I actually played DVD for the first time and I hated it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I played with him and then someone else.
I'm the same.
And then I left it for like 2 weeks. I just didn't play it at all. Like, I was like, right, okay, I don't know if I like this game. And then it got to like maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, and I went back to my old like, indie horror games and stuff, and I was like, maybe I could try out Dead by Daylight again and see if I, because the guys that I was playing with, they were really good, and I was really bad, and I was constantly getting hooked and tunneled and stuff. And then I was like, no, I'm gonna try it again. And yeah, it kind of went from there. I started off with playing with my friends from college, and it was December time actually. So I started on November 3rd, and it was like early December. So like maybe like a month later, that was when I started to get into Dead by Daylight.
That's so interesting that for you as well, you started out playing and didn't like it as well, or you kind of like played it for a little bit and then went away, because I was literally the exact same. I played it for 20 hours. I remember I had 20 hours of game time when I first started going back into it again. I think I bought it because someone brought it up back in like, I think I actually purchased the game in probably like 2016, 2017, like around when it first came out. Mm-hmm. And I played like 20 hours and I hated it. I would just run into walls because I was playing Survivor. Yeah. I didn't even know how to like do anything, and I didn't really have anyone to like kind of help me or explain what to do. I wasn't watching Twitch, or I wasn't watching really online stuff at that time, so as much as I do now. And it was just the worst time, because I would you'd get chased and you would run into a wall, and then you would just stand there and you couldn't move your camera and you couldn't do anything, and then you'd get hooked and you're just like, oh, why am I wasting time with this?
I didn't learn how to look backwards for ages. Like I didn't know how to look behind me for like 6 months.
It's so common though. I think that's I literally think that is one of the hardest things that
that
people have to learn in the game. Despite everything else, just being able to look behind you, it's such a foreign movement, especially if you're not used to like that kind of third person view. Because I guess I feel like with most indie horror games, they're pretty usually like their first person experiences, right? Because they're trying to be as scary as possible. Yeah. So then you get this like third person experience that's meant to be scary. And as you said before, DVD is not that scary. When you first start, it's pretty scary. Hearing that heartbeat more. Hearing that, that pumping, it gets the blood pumping and everything. But as you play longer and longer, like you just become more numb to it. So it's good to know, and it's good for people to know that if you don't like the game straight away, definitely give it another chance. Even it's not bad to have a break, take a break from it.
It was also the competitive side, I think, as well. Like it was my first ever competitive game. Like for me in games, before this, the only games I really played when I was younger was like I played RuneScape. That was kind of like my thing that got me into gaming. But then after that, because like I say, I didn't have the funds, I didn't have a PC, so I just used to watch people on YouTube play games, and I could only run like the shitty, like I say, like small games, like so that's all I could play. So I wasn't used to the competitiveness either. So I think that's another thing that sort of kept me away at first, because I was like, well, I'm rubbish, so I don't want to play.
Yeah. You feel like
yeah.
you're bringing your team down, or
Yeah, that was
feel like
it.
you're just not going to get better.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no,
exactly.
for sure. And I'm like, obviously, it's great that you came back. I'm really happy that I came back to it.
Yeah.
As well, obviously. But you obviously you started out as a survivor.
I did, yeah.
With playing with your friends and kind of getting into the game. You went in super blind because you just. So did you just like go on Steam one day and be like, "Hey, there's this game, Dead by Daylight," or did someone like in your streams mention it, or?
From what I remember, I think it was, it was the whole horror aspect, but I knew my initial thing was I wanted to stream, and I'd never watched Twitch before. I'd never seen it. I'd never watched a streamer. I wanted to go in blindly as well because I heard of this thing where, if some people can fall into the trap of copying other streamers and stuff. So I didn't want to know kind of thing. So I didn't know what games were popular and what weren't. And obviously within my first month, I realized like the games I'm playing, like they're entertaining for like my group of 5 friends that have, been forced to watch me. But they're not, it wasn't anything that was gonna capture a wider audience. So I was looking through and I typed in horror games, and I was doing a little bit of research into like what are like popular horror games. It's weird to call it a horror game because it's DVD, like it's not exactly, now we're like, yeah, it's not a horror game, but it came in the horror game category, and I was like, okay, this seems to be like the most popular one there. I'm gonna try it because obviously it's popular for a reason. So I just typed in horror games, found it, and just gave it a go. But obviously because it was so different, it wasn't like playing, I don't know, Resident Evil or not that I've ever played that, but or Song of Horror was one of them that I used to play, or Phasmophobia or Devour. It wasn't like that. I was like, okay, this isn't a horror game. Like this is not what I expected. And I guess that's why I left for a little bit and then thought, no, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna force myself to like it, and now I can't stop.
Yeah, exactly. So was it, when you did come back to it, was it like, I'm done with the survivor experience, there is this actual other side to the game that I probably didn't even try? Is that what got you? Because obviously, as I don't think we said it yet, you are a mainly a killer player.
Yeah.
So how did that I guess come about, going from starting as a survivor to being like, I'm just going to murder everything in sight?
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? Like, looking now, I'm like, oh my god, like it was meant to be a killer main, because it's just my personality type. Like, I am, that's me. But so when I first started, I was playing
Full disclosure, you're not a
no, I'm not a murderess.
Like, you're not a murderer.
No, that's not like, okay, when I say okay, looking back, we might need to cut that up. No, I'm joking.
That sounds a little bit bad.
No, yeah. So I played Survivor.
We'll say you're tenacious.
Yes, yeah. No, I played for Survivor for the longest time, and I did go in and play. I played a couple of killer games straight away, and actually I despised killer. It was bloody awful. The first game that I did was with Wraith, Le Bing Bong Boy, and that was an experience and a half. I didn't hit or find a single survivor because I was too busy trying to figure out how to uncloak myself. I just kept going around like bonging the bong, and I did it live on. Did I do it live? I can't remember. I think I did. And I just had no idea. Yes, because I called him a different name. The Dingadong or something like that, I called him.
Yeah,
and the whole chat, like, that's what they call, the ones that started off with me that are still in. They still call him that and not Bing Bong Boy, because that was my name for him. But yeah, I did that and it was dreadful. And then I never went near it again for a little bit. But then I did have a Huntress game, which I did get a 4K on, which I was very proud of. But it's because I face camped and I didn't realise what face camping was. So, and I have a funny story about that, actually. I took a picture at the end to show all my friends. I was going to post it on my Instagram story. Thank God I didn't. Of the end screen where I killed all 4 of them. And what I didn't realise, and I still have this photo to this day, in the bottom corner I had the chat box. And you can just see in capital letters, Camper, Tunneler, there's you. And I was going to post that on my Instagram story because I didn't realise the chat box was there and I didn't understand what it meant. So yeah, that was near miss with that one. I'm glad I didn't post that because that would have been
That's
very
actually great,
embarrassing.
though.
But yeah,
It's like posting your first Fortnite win or something when you get it.
and you're
like,
just getting grief in the bottom.
posting your first 4K. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So that was that. But I absolutely hated Killer, and I didn't go near it for months. Like, it wasn't like I went into it and I was like, oh my god, like a realization moment, because I didn't like it. And I remember another time where this guy on my he wasn't even a viewer, like he was kind of like a troll, and he was like, if you play Killer, I don't know if he said he will sub or he'll give me like 100 bitties or something. So I was like, oh fuck yeah, like this is buzzing. Like I'm gonna get myself a sub or like 100 bitties. And he was like, if you play Killer, like I'm gonna give you this. So I thought, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Like, okay. So I played Killer, absolutely hated it, and he didn't give me 100 bitties, so it was very sad. It was very cruel. He was just like, lol, like, and then left. So, you know, I kind of knew he was gonna do that, but I thought, oh well, if anything's gonna push me to play Killer, I guess this is it.
That was the day you learned to not trust anything see in Twitch chat ever.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, alongside want to become famous? Click this link.
Oh yes, our favorite famous bots.
Yeah, they're great. But yeah, so I hated it for the longest time. But the thing that really pushed me to become Killer was the fact that I just wasn't getting better as a survivor. I've never been I'm okay as a survivor. I think I'm like a rank 5 now or something, and I have hit rank 1 before, but you know, being massively boosted. For me, it wasn't until I realized, like, I'm not getting any better at survivor. I need to do something about this. So I moved to Killer, and then but I did a lot of it off stream, so I didn't have that added pressure. And I actually started off with the Oni. Oni was my first ever main because I thought he looked cool. And yeah, I worked my way up the ranks and then eventually got brave enough to stream it too. So yeah, that's it.
That's so funny. We're so opposite. Like, Oni is literally the last killer that I've played. I forced my chat to like hit a sub goal during a subathon.
Oh really?
For me to play Oni.
That was like me with Huntress.
I just didn't like Oni. I just thought he just seemed so brainless.
Oh yeah.
Just once he had his power, he just has an insta down the whole entire game, and I was just like, I don't like playing against him. I'm one of those people that I don't like playing against it. I don't want to play as it because I don't want to subject other people. I don't want to subject other people to that, you know?
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I never played him. I was an M1 killer. I never even used his power. That's just how I didn't actually use his power. I could have used any killer. I literally just M1'd the fuck out of everybody. I picked him because he looked cool.
Your power. Yeah. But then that's funny because I was the opposite. You played Wraith the first time and you couldn't find anyone.
Yep.
I think I played Wraith and I was just like, I'm in love with this because I get to zoom around the map.
You got to do the zoomies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know. He's a speed demon. I like him. He's cool. But he's controlled. And that was the thing with Oni that the thing is I worked my way up to about rank 12 until I realized, you know, this is harder now. And it was because I couldn't M1 people anymore. I actually had to do my power, which is when I moved across to Michael Myers. And that's where I had my I love you moment, you know, where you just like nothing else in the world matters and you fall in love. And Michael Myers was definitely my first love. I can definitely say that.
Yeah. Shirtless Myers.
Shirtless Myers. Yeah, I know. Can we get that in, please? But yeah.
It's all right. Behaviour listens to the podcast, so they'll hear this and they'll get it in for sure.
Hi, my name's Jeliottie, and I request Shirtless Myers, please.
So you went from Myers, and then you've gone the other way, one of the other big horror icons, to now your second love or your third love potentially is now Freddy.
Fredward, yeah.
Or the Nightmare, as they call him.
Well, yeah, so Freddy was one of those killers that I had fun with the Oni and I worked my way up, and then Michael Myers then carried me through to about rank 4 until it got difficult. And Freddy was the first killer that I had, which is, you know, he is an overpowered killer. I will definitely, I feel, you know, plenty of people have told me that, you know, I'm a little bit boosted, but he was the first killer that I pretty much like won every time with. I mean, obviously there have been a lot of losses, but you know, he was the first consistent killer that I played, and it kind of stuck because I felt like I really knew him as a killer, like the power, how to use it. I think with Myers and the Oni and stuff like that, you know, I could play them, but I never really. I feel like I could play Freddy blindfolded kind of thing. Like that was the feel that I got with him. I was just so comfortable. If I wanted a match where I didn't want any stress, Freddy was my guy kind of thing. So from there, he then became my main. And I'm aware that sort of at the moment, I am trying to stem away. I'm currently, I main him, but I am also closely followed by Pig and obviously Michael Myers. Is still in the run-ins. But yeah, he's my comfort blanket, Freddy, at the moment. And like I say, I do want to stem away, and I want to go towards a killer that's maybe not like your typical overpowered, like, you know, easy to play killer. I do want to do that. Hence why I've kind of gone towards Pigatha now as well, Pigu. But yeah, Freddy was definitely... Freddy will always... I love Freddy, and I don't care what anybody else says.
I can definitely tell, though.
Favorite. Yeah.
Because even watching you play Freddy, like what you were saying about knowing the power and knowing the stuff. Like, I love watching you play Freddy because I like to do this as well when I play a killer, you know, talk about what I'm doing and why, you know, what my next action is and what my next play is and why I'm doing a certain thing. And I love watching your Freddy games, or your killer games in general, but your Freddy games especially, like every single thing you do is so calculated. And that's the thing I love about playing killer is that, you know, and even playing Survivor, like if you play at a certain level, everything you do is for a reason. Like you're not just walking somewhere for no reason. You're not just running an area for no reason. Like you are literally like calculating and saying, I'm going to do this because of this reason. And I love watching you do that because you do, as you said, you understand the power and you say, I'm going to teleport here and then this person's going to do this and then this person's going to do this. And then you see people in chat with their mouths open and they're like, how does she know? Or how do they know?
Yeah.
Like people in my chat the same. They're like, how do you know that person's going to do that? I say, I don't know, but I've got enough time in the game and enough experience with the killer that I predict or, you know, make an educated guess. And then, boom, they're like, oh, that's really impressive.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I feel with Freddy. I think I'm not by any means an educational streamer when it comes to Dead by Daylight. I haven't been playing the game long enough. I haven't had enough experience, and I'm just not at that level yet. But when I play Freddy, this is probably the reason why he is my main. I feel like an educational streamer because I feel like I can give educational advice and tips because I feel like I know him and his gameplay so well, and he is the only killer, like you say, where you can predict what survivors are going to do, and he has such great map control, and that's what I like is that, you know, I know that I can be over here but I can fake a teleport over there and then that can sort out that area while I'm not even, you know, in the vicinity kind of thing.
Exactly.
I think that's what makes a main for you as well is can you be not just as a streamer, but can you be educational? Can you have preempting thoughts about what's going to happen in the game when you play that killer? You know, you're not just, like you say, mindlessly going around bonking people. Like you are thinking about it beforehand. And yeah, that's what makes a main for me, I think.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the same for me. Whereas the funny thing is, so I feel like Freddy for you was the first killer where you felt like, this sounds weird to say, but like the first killer that you felt like you were a killer. So you felt like destructive, like you know, you kind of just feel powerful, and it's a weird thing to say in a game that you feel powerful. But for me, Wraith wasn't that. For Wraith, I didn't get that from Wraith. I found Wraith because it was just he was easy to use and to get around the map, and a lot of people didn't use him and consider him a weaker killer. So I was like, I'm going to get good with the weaker killer, and I want to basically take this weaker killer. You know, I'd watched a lot of True Talent when I was learning Wraith and learning how to play, you know, hit and run and, you know, the most optimal way, as everyone says. But that was what kind of inspired me. But it's actually really funny because Oni is the killer that I have felt the most powerful ever when playing Oni. So when I was speeding around and using the demon dash, and then I slam that club down on someone. And if I played it right and I outplayed them, and then I just slammed it into their face, I was like, I felt this like huge power, and it made me so excited to be playing Killer again, because I'm mainly playing Survivor now. And I was like, wow, this is insane. Like, imagine feeling this powerful every game. Like, if you mained a killer and then that's how powerful you felt every game.
Yeah, that's it.
I could imagine that's what you got from Freddy. So maybe not to the same degree, but yeah, I was just like, whoa, this is.
Yeah, no,
I actually
100%.
feel like the survivors are scared of me. Like,
Yeah,
like I would
that's
be
it.
scared of me.
Yeah, a lot of the times when I was playing other killers, you feel like the survivors are giving you a bit of a runaround. Like they can test the waters. With Freddy, I felt that they weren't putting themselves in the line of sight or in the way for a hit, not willingly anyway. If you're playing a killer that you're not comfortable with, it's almost like the survivors can sense that. Even if you're playing somewhat decent, if you're not comfortable and you're missing little things, the survivors will take advantage of that. And I feel like when playing Freddy, that's when they're the least like that, the survivors. So
yeah, because they're already like, oh, it's a Freddy. Like, they might be like, oh, it's a Freddy, but they're already like, oh, it's a Freddy, so they're expecting a tough game, which is the exact opposite of what I had with Wraith. So you would load into a game and someone would literally see it was a Wraith, and they would literally like walk up to you and like, point at you and like basically taunt you from the very start of the game, because there was literally no respect for a killer that's playing Wraith, because like, this is going to be a super easy game. This is going to be fine. And that's why I enjoyed it so much, because people would be like, we're going to take it easy. This is going to be super easy. It's a Wraith, whatever. And then I would show up to play and they'd be like, oh.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You're
well, you see,
taken by
although
surprise.
I don't really get that, I'm quite scared of Wraiths. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
they, if I get a Wraith, I'm like, oh no, because I've got no clue what I'm doing. But I know what you mean. That setting them, and sometimes it's better like that, because with Freddy, I feel like they put their game faces on pretty quick, and you're like, oh god, like they're straight on the gens, and everyone's on a different gen because they're expecting good gameplay. Whereas, like, I guess with Wraith, it's a nice surprise for you, but a nasty shock for them, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, exactly, and so you should be.
So obviously, with playing Freddy, like as you said, you're branching out to a lot of different killers and trying out, some weaker killers like Pig, and that helps you not only get better as a killer and in the whole, like in the long run, but it keeps everything fresh. I know, obviously from watching your stream, I know you love to do dress ups, like your cosplays and stuff. Call them dress ups. Love to do the cosplays of the DVD characters. You've done Spirit. I know the Spirit one is the one that always comes to mind, but there's a couple of others. Is that something that you had previous experience? Like, was that something that you had previously done before streaming, or is this just like a natural evolution because you're already, creating content and you're already entertaining people? It was just like a natural step.
I was always I'm a drama kid. I did performing arts at college. I got a diploma in it, and with performing arts, it's not just acting, which obviously helps a lot with the Twitch streams. It's also we'd create our own costumes. It was all to do with being artistic and painting your face, and so I took a lot of inspiration from my old acting days, because that's what I always wanted to be. I actually I went for auditions in acting schools. I got into one, but I backed out last minute because I didn't know if it was a safe career option at the time.
So you chose another good safe career option of streaming.
Of streaming, yeah. No, I learned from my mistakes of being too lily-livered when I was young. No, I actually ended up going to university to do a teaching degree, which again I packed in because it was a last-minute decision, which I shouldn't have done. But that was because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I wanted to do some sort of acting-based thing, or like you say, YouTube or Twitch, or but so with the cosplays, I think a lot of it came from my acting past and creating and designing costumes for shows. And yeah, it's just it's a little bit of me in there that I kind of wanted to incorporate, but I'd never done cosplay before. I also do cosplay, what I call cosplay on a budget. I do not, yeah. I do not go. I know there are plenty of cosplayers that out there that are professional cosplayers that will, they will, you know, spend hundreds of pounds on their cosplay. Now, I like to set myself challenges, and okay, I've got £100, and I'm going to go onto Amazon and I'm going to create everything. You know, there might be a wig out there that is identical to Spirit's, you know, hair or whatever. That's probably like, I don't know, £200. But can I buy a £20 one and style it myself and make it look half decent? And I seem to have done okay with it so far. And I actually have a new cosplay coming up sooner. I don't know if you know this about my channel, but I always leave it like a big secret, and I get them to guess. I never tell them until they see the title on the day. And it's kind of my thing. Every time I hit a certain milestone, so it's 1,000 followers, 2,000 followers, 3,000. I've just hit 5,000 followers on Twitch. I do a 12-hour stream and spend the first 3 hours getting into cosplay. That's another thing. I like to do it. I like to get ready on stream, so the viewers can have a chance to like have a bit of a say in what they think. Like, I'm like, okay, guys, do you think I need more blood? Do I not? You know, to make it a little bit more interactive, and so they feel like they've helped, because they've given me ideas on, because a lot. I mean, I did, what did I do the other? I think the last one I did was Spirit. And
Spirit was the last one.
Yeah, it was the last one. Yeah, and they said I didn't know whether to do this gash down my chest or not, because she did kind of have one, but not in the outfit that I had, and they kind of convinced me to do it, and it ended up looking really cool. And yeah, it's definitely something that I'm gonna keep and I'm gonna stick with, because it's my favorite part of streaming, if I'm being honest. The 12-hour cosplay streams are just, I cannot tell you how excited. Like, before, when I first started, I was thinking, oh god, 12 hours, like I'd be like stressing about it. Whereas now I'm like, come on, we need to hit the next milestone so I can do my next cosplay, because I've already got ideas on what I want to do.
That's incredible. I love that. Cool. First of all, congratulations on the 5,000 followers.
Thank you.
That's huge. As we were talking about before the podcast, that you're absolutely smashing it lately, and you have been for a long time. So it's awesome to see the hard work coming off. But the pod, I didn't actually expect to. I didn't expect there to be a lot more behind the cosplay stuff. Honestly, like I kind of thought that you were just going to say it's just something you randomly decided to start doing. But it's actually really cool to hear that, you know, you had the drama stuff and the acting stuff, and, you know, that artistic side. I mean, it obviously does show you going into, as much as, you know, it's streaming and playing games, like it's an artistic side to create something. So you're creating something from scratch anyway, regardless if someone's made a game that you're playing, like you're still creating content around that game and making stuff happen. Basically creating a story, whatever it might be.
Yeah. I always like to relate it to Dead by Daylight as well. You know, keep it in with the theme, but, you know, have your own little twist on it. And I think I've taken a lot from my acting past, just because at the end of the day, in my eyes, a Twitch stream, you are on stage. It's like working on the West End or Broadway 5 nights a week. You're doing the same. Well, obviously it's different every time, but you're doing a similar show every single night. And you know, not saying that you're in a character, because I'm 100%. I think I'm myself as close as I can be anyway. But you have to keep face for that, you know, 6 to 8 hours, and keep entertaining and chirpy, even when you might be a little bit tired, you know? Yeah, exactly. It's like it's, you know, it's a live production, like you said, but I've always been equating it to similar to TV now. Like, Twitch is, for me, it's a new medium where people, that's their TV, that's what they watch. They know that this person goes live at 5 p.m. yourself, you go live at that time, and they know that they can tune into the
the channel. I mean, there's a reason they probably call them Twitch channels, is because, you know, they tune into the Jeliottie channel and they know that they can watch you for a certain amount of time, which is, you know, a lot of people say, what can I do when I first start streaming? It's just being consistent, like create a time where you're always going to show up.
Consistency
and that's
is
because
key.
If I wanted to go watch my favorite TV show, let's say my favorite TV show was like Law and Order or something like that, and I was like, I want to watch Law and Order, and I want to watch it consistently, and then the TV network was like, okay, we're going to put Law and Order on at 7 different times every single week, and we're going to put it on at a different time. We're not going to tell you what time it's on, but you want to watch it, so you're going to have to just like look. You're just going to have to figure out when it's on and hope that, you know, go to the channel and hope that it's on. It's like that's just really annoying. Like you're just going to be like, well, why can't you just have it on at a certain time so that I know when to watch it? And that's exactly the same thing that people should just, you know, kind of, as much as they can when they're starting, or even when they're not starting, like even people kind of lose sight of it as they go, just having that consistency for people to come back to. And I feel like, you know, having that and has contributed probably to you could probably say that it's contributed to your growth, because I know
Massively.
that most of the time I see, you know, on the days that I know you're live, like I know that you're, you know, I barely ever see you like not on at a time that you're like scheduled to be on. So
exactly, yeah, I do like to stick to it, and I get a little bit stressed. You know, if I'm to change my schedule now, I mean, before it was sort of, you know, it takes a couple of months of streaming to get yourself into that pattern, to figure out what kind of times you want to be a streamer and what you can physically, you know, give to them, you know, the time schedule that you can put down. But I think definitely since I started at 6 p.m, well, between 5 and 6 p.m. every night, and went on until about midnight, that was when I started to see that, you know, people are coming back, people are booking blooming days off work. That was the other thing. Like for my 12-hour streams, I have one of my mods. He's like, right, okay, I have to, because he's from Canada and he has to get up at 4:30 in the morning, and he does that, and it's not just him, it's the viewers. They're like, right, okay, I'm gonna book that day off work, and I'm like, what? Like that is crazy. Like that is mad. But yeah, consistency is definitely key, I think.
Now there is, but just touching the last thing on the cosplay thing, I'm not sure if you know of Bearin, I think that's how you pronounce her name.
I'm not sure, no.
The other cosplay queen of DBD. She does like probably the opposite end of the spectrum from what you're talking about. So you do cosplay on a budget. Bear does like cosplay. She probably might still do it on a budget, but it's probably a larger budget.
Yeah.
But she, like, you know, I think the biggest one that she's done that people kind of remember or talk about is she made a pretty much to scale like bear trap, like reverse bear trap for the pig. Like I think it was like all paper mache or something like that, but it's insane. Like it, you know, and she did a spirit one, which is why I thought of her. But it would be cool to see, you know, she's a partner on Twitch as well. Like it would be cool to see maybe someday. She's I can't remember which country she lives in, but it would be cool to see you guys kind of maybe potentially work together, or, you know, come together, because she's a DVD, obviously DVD main player as well, and she plays mostly Survivor, you play mostly Killer. It would be cool to see like a little collab potentially, or something where you guys could, you know, do a cosplay kind of, not a cosplay off, but, you know, I don't know, like, you know, some sort of costume design or something, because she's the only one that I really know of, and you two are the kind of ones that I know. You know, obviously you're not doing it. She does it for big events, or, you know, comes up with an idea and says, I want to do this. Like she's done Plague, Spirit, and then the reverse bear trap one, and obviously yours are for special events like milestones and everything. But yeah, I would love to see that. So hopefully that's something that we can see in the future.
Yeah, I've not heard of her, but she sounds really cool, and that is a level I would like to. I mean, before, I think the things that were mainly stopping me were obviously work life, whereas now, because Twitch has become work life, I think spending a little bit more is definitely in the pipeline. For me, the whole budget thing was because I was on a budget, whereas I think now that I can put all my effort, and this is work, and it's not just a hobby anymore. I think that I could definitely I would definitely like to be like at her level someday, and
to, like, step
things
it
like
up a
baking
little bit.
yeah, I would love to do that. I mean, not anytime soon. I still need to figure a lot of things out, but
Yeah.
I suppose she sounds to me like the goal in the future, maybe to do things for events, paper mache and all of that kind of thing. I was always very, like, art was kind of my thing as well. Like, that's what I liked, and I would love to do something like that. So yeah, 100%. You'll have to send me the name.
I was gonna say,
so
I
I
will
can check
definitely
her
get
out
you.
at some point.
I'll definitely get you in touch. Get you in touch with
Yeah.
her so that
I just want to
you
see her
guys can talk
cosplays
about
and see
stuff.
her work. Yeah, that would be super cool, because that's 100% up my street. 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I will remind me when we finish to do that,
Yeah.
because I will definitely do that. Now, I guess the last thing on that topic, even though I've said this 3 times already,
No, it's okay.
is there? I know you said that it's a surprise. It's always a surprise, and you don't
Mhm.
like to tell people what you're gonna do. Like, obviously, hopefully, you'll have some people from your community coming over to listen and learn a little bit more about you, a little bit more about what got you into Dead by Daylight and all of that. Is there any hint or anything that you can give them, any type of snippet of of information to keep them guessing?
Think of something. I'm trying to think of something that I can make into like a little hint.
If you don't have anything now, you can come back
Maybe,
to it. And,
maybe we can come back to it, because
you can give a little hint right at the end. There you go. You have to stay to the end now. If you want to get a little hint on what Jel's cosplay is going to be, you have to stay till the end of the podcast. So
yeah. Okay.
I guess touching on what you said before, kind of the horror aspect is what got you into DVD. Do you watch horror movies? Like, is horror like something? So that's obviously a big part of your
massive,
movies
humongous
and culture and.
Okay,
cool. Because for me, I don't really watch horror movies. I've gotten more into. I'm more of a fan of like the thriller type horror, not
which
like
I
super
am
gory
too.
and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
I agree. Yeah, thriller is. I love a good storyline. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Like, I am not into the classic like jump scare after jump scare horror. I want a storyline. I want to know like whose dad's mum's like murdered in which, I need to know, like, I want a backstory. I need an answer for everything. I'm kind of like that type of person. If it doesn't make sense, it's kind of like, oh, I don't, it doesn't, yeah, all right, it's scary, but it's not got any meaning, but I am a massive horror movie and thriller, and I'm a big fan of all of that kind of thing. The Saw franchise. Yeah. I'm personally not a gory person. I didn't watch Saw until about 6 months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I never watched it as a kid. I don't like gore, and Final Destination is another one that I've never really watched, just because I'm not really into the grossness. Like, I want to be scared. But with Saw, what I was so shocked at, and I was so happy that I watched it at 23 instead of 18, because I wouldn't have appreciated it as much. I was happy that I watched it a little bit older, because the storyline is actually incredible. Sorry, I'm getting excited now because the horror movies.
No, it's so elegantly done though, isn't it? It's like it's still gross. Like, there's still gross stuff that happens, and it's still sometimes gory. But like, it is. I understand what you're saying, because I didn't watch. I steered away from Saw and things like that, because my sister is massively into horror. Like, she hosts like a Halloween night for our family, like every Halloween.
Can I come, please?
Go over to
well, I want to come.
They sit around and she decorates her whole house. She serves like sausages, but that look like human fingers, and
that's so cool.
And like she loves it. And for me, I never really took part of it, because I was like, I'm not really a scary like Halloween type fan. But
right, you're out, I'm in. Does she want a new sister?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, welcome. But I like that.
I ended up having. I think I was at my grandma's house one time when I was like quite young, and
Mhm.
my cousins who are a little bit older ended up putting Saw on the TV, and I would have been like I don't think I was a teenager yet, so I was still
Oh
in the age where
no.
it was like it probably messed me up a little bit. But
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like I was in an age where I could appreciate it because I remember the only Saw movie I've seen is
Mhm.
Saw 2, and
Okay. It's a
I
good one,
think
that
well
one.
the good one of
Yeah,
the
the
good
good
ones.
one. Yeah, yeah.
And I watched it and I was like, you know what? Despite the the stuff that I saw in that movie, I can't really even remember. I was like, this is done so like I was scared the whole time, but I was also like, oh my gosh, is this what's gonna happen? Like, is the person gonna get out? Like, are they gonna like it would kept you on the edge of your seat. It wasn't really because I was a younger kid, it wasn't really predictable. It might have been
Mhm.
predictable now, but yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I loved about it because I was like, oh my gosh, like I just looked away and like closed my eyes at the really
Yeah, yeah. I
gross
still
parts.
did when
But
I was watching it. Like, yeah, I still shut my eyes. I just like listening to the story. But
yeah,
yeah, no,
exactly.
I think that's one of the things that made me really love DBD as well, and I think is so cool is that you've got your Michael Myers and your Freddy and your Pig, and they're all in there. Like that is, it's just completely up my street. I have a bit of an addiction to horror movies, and my partner, he's always like, can we watch something that's not horror? And I'm
Can we
like,
watch a rom
no,
com?
can we watch a, yeah, yeah, that's literally it. He's like a comedy or like a romance, like, and I'm like, "No," but I know it's a little bit of an addiction, and yeah, even now, like I'm watching The Walking Dead, like I can't just watch a series like, I don't know, The Office. He was really trying to get me into The
Yeah.
Office, and I was like, this is not The Walking Dead, though, is it?
Yeah, The Office
um,
meets Walking Dead. Maybe we can watch. Maybe that's a
maybe,
combo we
yeah,
can watch
Shaun
or
of the Dead.
something.
We maybe Shaun of the Dead. Maybe that would
Yeah.
make nice in between. Yeah, but no, I do definitely love it, and I think that's one of the main reasons why DBD has always been a thing for me, and why I will never be a Warzone player or something like that, because it's just not fitting in with my personality. My personality is I like to be artistic, I like to do cosplay things, and I like horror, and it's just DBD for me. If you had to describe me as a game, like that is exactly
That's
like
you.
I
That's
have
yours
never.
again. It's a bit of you.
Yeah, exactly.
As they
It's
say
a
on
bit
Love
of
Island.
me.
It's a bit
It's
of
a
me.
bit of me, babes. Yeah, that's it. I'm putting all my eggs in DVD's
in
basket.
DVD's basket.
Yeah. Let's cut that one
Hopefully
out
there's
too.
people that watch Love Island because yeah.
Yeah, they're all going to be like, what?
Yeah.
No, I have a
But,
few viewers of mine that are what Love Island watchers. They're like, oh my god, did you see it? I'm like, no.
I watch it.
Oh no, well I stream at the
tonight.
same time as Love Island, so I can't see it.
Yeah, oh no. But have you seen, so the reason I brought that up, that kind of like about the horror stuff, is there is a new obviously they're doing Saw Week in DVD at the moment. Because the new, I think it's called Spiral. It's like in the Saw kind of series. It's got Chris Rock in it. I think it's Chris Rock, and it's a kind of a spin-off or you know successor or whatever you call it. And they were giving some stuff out to DVD creators. They were sending out the movie. They sent to like Otstava. They sent him some really cool pack like before the movie even came out at cinemas.
That's
and
cool.
I was just basically just segueing into the fact that I don't know if you know this, but we're only a week out from a PTB coming out with the new killer.
No, I didn't. Well, I knew that it was. I'm a bit slow with all these kind of things, and I usually have my viewers tell me that they're like, "You do realize this is?" I'm like, "Oh yeah. I forgot about that." No, I knew it was coming up soon. I didn't realize. Is it in a week?
Apparently, it's about, from the time that we're going to be recording this, it's about a week. So
okay, cool.
According to leaks and the regular schedule and everything, it's that's what we are going to be expecting. So my reasoning for bringing that up was because I wanted to ask you. It's good that you're a horror fan because it means that you actually know more than I do.
Yes.
Is there any? Apparently, it's going to be a license. So basically, it's going to be a licensed killer, is what the leaks are saying. So everyone's saying Candyman. I've never seen Candyman. I didn't. I had to actually look up and watch the trailer for the new Candyman movie that's coming out. Is there any preferences that you have, or any killers that you would like to see come from any horror, horror franchises that you've watched? And I mean, I guess do you reckon that DVD leaks are pretty? They're usually pretty correct when they leak stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, is there any preference or any thoughts that you would have about a killer from a certain franchise coming to DVD that you might like to enjoy playing, like, you know, Myers and Freddy and all that?
So for me, I am a FNAF fan. I'm a Five Nights at Freddy's fan.
Okay.
I know that the big thing that everybody wants is Springtrap. I don't think it's gonna be Springtrap, just because I know that I can't remember his name now, but the guy that created Five Nights at Freddy's did say that he wasn't wanting to do any collabs at the moment or something, but then I think I've been doing a bit of research, and basically they have said that, you know, they said something similar when it came to talking about Resident Evil, and then obviously we've had a Resident Evil chapter, so I think it's all up to play at the moment. But I would personally love to see a Five Nights at Freddy's character in there, just because, again, like we went over about me when I was younger, I used to watch Markiplier on YouTube, and I remember when Five Nights at Freddy's first came out, and I was obsessed. Like, I was, oh my god, like, it's like Slender Days. Slender Man is another one. I feel he will be difficult, but I think he would be amazing in DVD. I think he'd be so cool. The Candyman, I've never actually seen that film. To say I'm a horror fan, I haven't actually seen that one. I know roughly what it's about, and I know kind of like what he looks like and stuff. So for me, if that's what people are saying, that would be cool, but it wouldn't be my personal first choice. But yeah, I would definitely like to see Springtrap, who's like the bunny in Five Nights at Freddy's. I think is such a cool concept anyway. And I actually played it on stream on Wednesday with my friend.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, we played number 1 and number 4, I think. So I've actually played it recently, so I would love that. But like I say, I'm not placing my bets on that. And I know
Thank you for telling me it's the bunny, by the way, because I had no idea who Springtrap was for the longest time.
Springtrap is a rabbit. I think anyway. Another, because I've actually, it's come from TikTok. One of my viewers tagged me in it this morning. The different things that people are saying. The first one was Springtrap. The second one was Pennywise from It. But I don't think it'll be Pennywise, just because we've already got a clown. I'm actually shocked that they've done. Yeah, I'm actually shocked that they've done another license. I thought they were going to do an original. If they were to do an original, I know a lot of people have said things about like a vampire killer or a vampire style killer. I think that would be so cool, because we don't have a vampire yet, and I think DVD could create a cool one, maybe a female one. That would be fun. Yeah. Bit of a Resident Evil vibe, Lady D. But no, but I think that'd be cool. But yeah, I don't really know what it's going to be. I would love it to be Five Nights at Freddy's. That's just my personal opinion, but that's what I'd like.
No, of course. And if you love the Five Nights at Freddy's series, it's obviously going to be something that you're wanting to have out. I was also surprised that the next killer was going to be licensed. I definitely thought with Resident Evil and having the chapter come out, we obviously had Trickster before then, and then we've had a couple of non-licensed ones, and then I think the last licensed one that we had was Pyramid Head, and that would have been sometime last year, I think, maybe the start of the year or something. It was a bit ago that we had a licensed one, and then Resident Evil. But what they're saying is that it's going to be just a killer, so no survivor. So it's going to be similar to when Ghostface came out, or with Bubba. When Bubba came out, there's no survivor attached to those characters. Right. They're just characters you have to buy with, your Orexels, or buy them on Steam, or however you purchase your licensed stuff. So that's what they're saying, that this update will carry a solo killer from a licensed, like a licensed series or something. And then the mid-chapter update will carry an original survivor that has kind of no correlation to the killer, because if it was Springtrap, let's take that one for example. Who would you put in as survivor from Five Nights at Freddy's? Like, you're going to put in the faceless person that sits at the desk and
Yeah,
does
the old
does the
security
security
guy.
camera. Like,
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
I was just thinking then. I guess it would fit. I guess that because you're saying that the new licensed killer is not going to have a survivor.
yeah, so they're just going to be it's just going to be a killer that comes out. Apparently, anyway, this is all speculation, but it's just going to be a killer that comes out. Then mid-chapter update is when they normally, you know, fix things with the killer and kind of go over some stuff like they just did with Trickster. Apparently, then they're going to bring out a original survivor just to make sure that, you know, they keep up the numbers. But that's going to have nothing to do with, let's say it was Springtrap. It would have nothing to do with Five Nights at Freddy's. It'll just be an original survivor.
Yeah, you see, well, with it being with Five Nights, look at me. I'm just trying to convince myself it might be Five Nights at Freddy's. But they don't need a survivor for Five Nights at Freddy's because there is no face to there's no other, like, there's no potential survivor except from, like I say, the faceless guy. But the thing is the guy that created, it's annoying me because I know his name as well. The guy that created Five Nights at Freddy's obviously did it for a reason where he had no other faces, and I don't think he would want like a made up survivor to go with Springtrap, you know, because it would ruin his kind of like his game. So yeah, I would love it to be Five Nights at Freddy's. Look at me, I'm there like, oh my god, right, it makes perfect sense. Like, it's perfect. Let's just put Springtrap in and let's go.
I don't want to burst the Five Nights at Freddy's bubble, but the reason that Candyman kind of makes sense to me is because I believe that the new Candyman movie is coming out coming out this year. Yeah. And I actually think it's coming out. Let me just quickly check and see if I can find the release date, if there is a release date. I thought it just says 2021 at the moment. So it's probably, you know, coming out maybe soon. So it could be a good time, you know, coincide with a movie coming out and a new character.
I don't doubt it. I think it will be. I do think it. I don't have any. Although I have hopes, I don't have any expectations for it to be Five Nights at Freddy's. I do agree. It's Scott, the name of the guy. I forgot his name.
Oh, there you go.
Scott, he's the one who created it. But yeah, I agree with you. I do think it'll probably be Candyman. And they tend to, you know, coincide with each other, you know, release dates of films. And it's all about marketing as well, isn't it? Like, you know, I understand that. So... yeah, I definitely. I don't. What does let me look at the Candyman killer now. Like, what does he look like?
So this is the hard thing for me, is trying to figure out what power Candyman would have. So from what I've gathered, Candyman is another, you know, like Beetlejuice, where you say Beetlejuice 3 times and then he appears. Like, Candyman is one of those things where if you say his name, you know, he ends up appearing. He put razor blades in a bunch of kids' candy. And then they were, you know, open their candy and they would cut themselves. And then he started killing people or whatever. Like, people are going to hate me. They're going to be like, this is all wrong. You're not saying the right thing. But I don't know enough, really. But that's kind of what I got the gist of. So he has like a hook or like a cane that has a hook on it or something. And in my eyes, I'm just like, that's a really cool weapon that you could have in DVD. But he has, you know, he can control like bees and stuff, and because, you know, the sweet side of things and like candy and everything. So I'm just like, in DVD, what would, like, I'm trying to think what his power would be. Like, you know, is he going to throw bees at people? Is he going to throw candy at people?
That's
like,
it.
What's gonna, you know, what's gonna happen? So that's one of the hard things.
I mean, they've had zombies, haven't they? I'm thinking, like, will they have these like bot style like extras on? But I think, well, Nemesis had his zombies, didn't he? So, you know, anything seems to be possible now for DVD. Like, are we going to get mechanic bees or like what?
Well, apparently he comes out of mirrors as well. Like, there's something to do with mirrors where he can just like, you look into a mirror and then he, like, you know, comes out of the mirror or something. So in my eyes, I was like, okay, maybe he's a teleport. Maybe he's a like teleporting killer, like Demo. Yeah. And he can, you know, you can look into a mirror and, like, you know, look through the mirror and appear somewhere else on the map, or I don't know. But, you know, we're not game designers. It's also interesting,
isn't it, trying to like conspire about what it'll be like.
Oh, I love it. Love doing that.
You just really have no clue, don't you? But it's so fun. Yeah.
If you're even close, you know, the best thing that I talked about with one of my friends. It wasn't on stream or anything like that, but we were talking before before Twins came out, we were talking about
Mm-hmm.
potential killers, and we said, so what's a good killer idea, or what's a killer that could come out that could, you know, kind of be different for DBD? And we were like, so you remember those shows where you have the little kids who stand on each other's shoulders and they put a big trench coat on and they pretend to be an adult.
Yeah.
And they go into, you know, the bars and restaurants or whatever they do those funny little joke things. We were like, oh, imagine if there was a killer where it was a bunch of, not kids, but like a bunch of smaller people, and they kind of like stacked up, and then they could like split off and become
Oh my god, yeah.
separate. And we literally talked about this a month before. Like, no announcements of Twins had come out yet. And we talked, like, it was a person that doesn't really play DVD, so I was kind of like driving the conversation, and they were like, yeah, and they were kind of spitballing. And then not even 2 weeks later, they were like, and they announced that
Twins.
it was like Twins. And I was like, dude, this
That's
killer
mad,
splits off from the other killer, and then you can control like the other side. The only thing that was different is you can't control both at once, because we were like, imagine if it was a co-op thing where, you know, you and I could queue in together. I control Victor and you control Charlotte. Obviously, that's a bit overpowered because you're controlling two characters.
You'd have to have an extra survivor in or something. But
but like, what
absolutely.
a cool premise of, you know, being able to play
absolutely.
co-op with your friend. And we were just blown away. I was like, it wasn't exactly spot on, but we were kind of like, wow, we were actually kind of close.
You were close, yeah. That's cool. Yeah, no, I would have never. My little brain would have never been able to come up with something like that. I'd be rubbish. Yeah.
For me though, because I don't know anything about horror and, you know, the series and licenses that are out there. For me, my favorite thought about having a killer in the game is a shape-shifting killer that can take the form of survivors. Every time you mention this, everyone says, no, you couldn't possibly do that, because if you play in a Swift and you have comms, you know, everyone's going to just say, that's not me, and then you could, you know, you're not going to be able to stick up on people. But basically, my thought is that to have a shapeshifter, so there's 4 survivors in a game, throughout that whole entire game, you just are constantly shifting between, you know, let's say it's Claudette, Meg, Jake, and Dwight. So you start off as Claudette, and then you can walk up to someone, and then you kind of have like an animation, kind of like when Oni goes into his demon dash, like he gets angry and all of that. So, you know, you could have a similar thing where you like kind of like break out of the survivor's skin, and then you can like attack the survivor or something. And then you instantly...
That'd be terrifying, wouldn't it?
You change back into Meg, or you change back into Dwight, or you change into Jake, and you're constantly shifting so that people can't be like, hey, like, you know, this person's coming towards me. Is this you? But even then, even if you have comms, think about what, like, suspense and anxiety that brings into the game.
Yeah.
But every time you see another survivor, you have to ask.
With comms, I think it'd be difficult to compete, you know?
Yeah, you have to say, is this you? Is this you coming towards, like, is this you? Are you running towards me? But the best thing I think that it would do is, I mean, it could make gens go faster because it splits people up from their teammates, but it would force you to not be able to be scared to work with your teammates, which I feel like is really, really cool.
Yeah, oh no, 100%. I think that's definitely, and I think even with comms, you're still spending time that you could be spending thinking about, oh, what gen am I going to be doing? What totem do I want to cleanse? Do I want, you know, because you're sort of almost going through a state of paranoia. Your first thought isn't the task in hand. It's, okay, who is this? Yep. And it also takes a couple of seconds. And we all know that in DBD, a couple of seconds can mean the absolute world, between life and death kind of thing. You know, even those couple of seconds where you're trying to figure it out who, you know, because you can say to someone, oh, is this you coming towards me? And they might be, but there might be 2 and you've not realized that.
Yeah.
And, you know, no matter how, you know, good you are with communication, it will be difficult for everyone to sort of, especially with talking over each other and things like that. I think that's a cracking idea. I think that's definitely, I mean, it's a little bit more intricate, and it's definitely future DVD, you know, once they've got themselves sorted with, you know, sorting out Resident Evil map and all of that lot. But, you know, I think it's definitely something they could do in the future when they're a little bit more, I don't know, techie.
It's definitely something that I like to think about though, because even in general, just with life, I like to think about what's next, and especially with yourself, you've started streaming, you've become partner, and you've become a full-time streamer, and you're probably at that point of now, not to scare you with it. Obviously, you're already thinking about it, but you're at the point of what's next, and you're already trying to think of even if you do something good, you think how can I make it better? Even if you do something great, you think what's the next great thing that I can make? So that's fortunately, but unfortunately, that's just the life of people that want to create stuff, and that I'm sure there's movie directors out there that create something amazing and then go, what's next, and how I want to top that, or I want to do this. So that's the reason I like to talk about the future of DVD, just to not sit here and say, let's just do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, it's a good mindset to be in, and I think I never thought I was that type of person, but now looking back on life and things like that, I've never had something I'm so passionate about, and that's the reason why. But I'm the exact same. I think my fellow would say I'm a pain in the backside for it. I will do a 12-hour stream, and I will be, it'll be really successful, and cosplay's gone great, and I'll be still. And he's like, "Why are you still whittling?" And it's like, because I'm stressing about the next thing. What can I do to beat that? And I think it puts you in a healthy competition with yourself and your own content as to how can I go better. I'm currently looking at a career with potentially looking at doing YouTube videos or things like that, so I'm constantly trying to grab the next thing, and I think it's sometimes it can drive you insane, but it's definitely made me a harder worker as well, I think, and more creative. And I agree, it's the best mindset to be in, is what can DBD do next, and I'm sure they think the same. And I agree.
I hope that they do think the same. I strongly believe that they do. The having the new tutorial. Have you played the new tutorial at all? To even check it out since they updated it?
Yeah,
it's so much better.
Yeah, my friend did it. Well, actually, I didn't personally play it myself, but I watched, because, like I say, I did a stream with my friend on Wednesday, and we played a bit of DBD, and she'd never played it before. So I said, right, come and do the tutorials. And when she went on, I was like, these are different. So I didn't play it myself, but I saw her do them, and they're great. Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought, I'm in the middle of teaching my partner how to play DBD. She wanted to learn and kind of get more involved in what I do. So she was teaching me how to play, and I went through the tutorial with her, and I was like, this tutorial, if I had this tutorial when I started, I feel like it wouldn't have made it perfect, but I feel like it would have made a difference, because my favorite thing that they changed is, and the one big issue that people had was, when you are on hook in the tutorial and it tells you to attempt to escape, people are always like, well, this is why when you're at rank 20, people just try to Kobe and escape the hook, and they end up dying.
All the time.
Because
I did.
But now in the new tutorial, it says, use this as a last resort if you're, if you don't have anyone, coming to save you, basically.
Yeah, that was another reason, when you said about, we were talking earlier about why did you, so I started off playing DBD, and then I left for a couple of weeks, and then I came back because I hated it at first.
Yeah.
That was actually one of the things that made me dislike DBD, was the fact that I was trying to Kobe, and because I didn't realise, you weren't supposed to. Yeah. Obviously, when I started playing with my friends, it was a bit different, but I would try it, and then because I was also, obviously, remember when the skill checks, it wasn't skill checks, when you were trying to struggle, I would miss a tap, and I would end up dying, and then I'm sat there watching my friends play the rest of the match, because I've died within the first 2 minutes of the game, and I was getting bored of that. And I think that was another reason as to why I left EBD for the first couple of weeks, and then got back into it and learnt the hard way, kind of thing. But I think that's good that they've done that, because that was one of the factors that stopped me from getting into it straight away, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think it's the gatekeep. It's kind of like the thing that gatekeeps a lot of people. I've taught pretty much my entire family to play DBD at this point. Even my mum. I do Swiss with my mum and stuff, which is amazing. But every person I taught, especially a couple of them were saying to me, they're like, where does it tell? It in DBD, it doesn't tell me what the exposed status means. It doesn't tell me what the sloppy butcher, mangled thing means. It doesn't. It does tell you, but it's in like the guide thing. Like you have to actually. It's not part of the tutorial. You have to like read it in the guide thing. And they were just like this. For me, when you play a single player game, you go through and basically you run through a tutorial level where it tells you literally everything. Like if I was to load up any single player story game, it's going to run through and tell me all my abilities. It's going to tell me how to use them, what each status effect means, if I get shocked, if I get this, whatever it is. It's going to tell me all of that. Whereas with DBD, it was just like load into game. If you're on hook, try and escape. If you don't, die. It was just like it's just so basic.
Well, I agree, because you were talking about your mum. I had my dad. I don't know if you.
I remember that. Yeah, that was amazing.
My dad. Yeah, my dad played it, but you see, my dad's an avid gamer. He wasn't really World of Warcraft. He was something called EverQuest, which was before World of Warcraft came out. And he's a massive EverQuest veteran, and he has got a lot of experience in PC gaming. And he naturally did very well with DBD, but there were things like that where I thought, how am I going to explain that to him? And how is he not going to know not to do that? And I agree with you. I think sometimes I struggled to explain to him, no, you don't try and escape, whatever you like. And he was like, yeah, but it says to, so I agree. I agree with that. He was like, eh?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, it's so frustrating and hard, because for me, one of my favorite things is teaching people to play the game. And when the game isn't doing you any favors with with trying to learn the game.
Yeah, it does. It feels like that sometimes, doesn't it? Yeah, it doesn't help you.
So is there anything, do you have you thought of it? Have you kind of thought of anything that you can give us for your cosplay?
Yes. So, it's probably not great, but I'll give it a go. So I think so the hint I will give is that the character that I am cosplaying is a licensed character.
There you go. Yeah. There's not too many licensed characters, so...
No, there's not. It limits it down, definitely. I'm not specifying whether it's a killer or a survivor.
Yep, I like it.
It is licensed.
That's awesome. I reckon that's perfect, because that'll, if you don't know whether it's killer or survivor, it definitely limits it down by it being licensed. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it.
I'm glad.
Is there anything else that you kind of like wanted to talk about in relation to DBD and your experience? As I said, I especially love, and we try and talk about stuff on the podcast. We try and give a lot of information for not only veteran or like experienced players, but for people learning. And we have definitely talked about a lot of, your first time experience. Is there any other piece of advice that you can give for potentially someone that's wanting to try out Dead by Daylight, because there's a lot of new people coming to the game?
Yeah, I would definitely say, first of all, give it a chance. It's one of those things where you're going to be with players that have played it a bajillion times, and especially for me, I think because I have come into Twitch and I've got to a level where, people are coming into my channel and sort of expecting me to be, absolutely amazing at the game. And I'm just not, because I'm a new player at the end of the day. I've not even been playing the game a year. I think it's 7 months or something like that. At the most I've been playing it. So don't let other players and the way that, what they say and don't let that get to you. You play how you want to play. If you want to use a certain perk, use it. Use what you feel comfortable with. Don't go for the best of the best because other people have said that. For me, I personally use perks that other people. So for example, Spine Chill is a great one to use as an example. I am a avid Spine Chill user. I use it on pretty much every survivor. Because I'm also weaker as a survivor. I find that really helps out my gameplay. And whenever I don't have it, I'm not as good at the game, because I like that preempting awareness of something is coming. And a lot of people I not a lot, but, I have heard people say, and more experienced players say, oh, that's a baby perk, that's what the newer players tend to use, and then you move on.
Yep.
And for me, I still use it now, and I think it's a cracking perk. I think it's great. And it's the same with Dead Hard. I don't use Dead Hard. I use Sprint Burst.
Yep.
So I would definitely say, as a new player, play what you want to play. Don't listen to what anybody else says. Play, because at the end of the day, it's you who is going to be an unhelpful teammate if you end up using something that you don't like, or just because it's the most powerful perk or whatever. And I think the same goes for things like no-ed and whatever else. I constantly get debates going on in my channel, and a lot of people disagree with me when I say I think the game is an incredibly balanced game, because people always argue, oh, survivors have it harder, killers have it harder,
Yep.
back and forth. And I say the reason why it's so back and forth is because it's balanced. The game is very balanced. Things like they go, oh, keys this, keys that. And I agree, keys are a bit of a cop-out. But things like No-Ed and Blood Warden mashed together are extremely powerful as well, and can completely change a perfectly played game by survivors, and put it completely in the killer's court, so I would say don't listen to what anybody else says. Do what you want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And give it a chance. So that's my piece of advice.
No, I really like that.
To new players.
That's really, really good advice, because it's pretty much exactly what I would say, especially touching on your, No-Ed and Blood Warden example. The fact that perks are meant to be strong, and especially perks that have synergies together and synergize well, they're meant to be strong, and they're meant to be, devastating to a survivor. You're not going to run things in other games, in a collectible card game. You're not going to run cards that have synergy with each other and then win against someone, and then that person complain that you ran synergistic cards that helped you win the game. They're just going to say, well, I should have played better, I should have played around it, or I should have done this. It's exactly the same with Dead by Daylight. It's a giant chess game. When it comes down to it, I just think of it, and I've explained it. I had someone say to me recently that was newer to the game that they feel like it's very synonymous with just a giant chess game of moving pieces and guessing and making educated guesses of different things that are going to happen. And if you rush things, and not rush, but if you get to the end and you haven't gotten rid of all of the things that you need to get rid of to absolutely cancel out every kind of option, then it's your own fault, really. But maybe you don't have time to do that. Sometimes I feel that, as I mostly play Survivor at the moment, sometimes you only just manage to finish all the generators, and then you have some survivors. You have 2 survivors left, and you've only just managed to do all the generators, and the killer has No-Ed, and you think, well, we've only just managed to complete the generators. Well, we definitely wouldn't have done them if we had to go around and try and get totems as well. But that's just the reality of the game. Sometimes the killer just plays better, the survivors just play worse. And as you said, I've never thought of it that way, of the back and forth, meaning that it's balanced. I've always kind of seen both sides and been like a part of one side as a killer and then a part of one side as a survivor. And then I've been like, I think it's balanced this way. I think it's balanced this way. But I've never seen that as like, okay, well, it's not, perfectly balanced, but then again, a 4v1 game, it's very, very difficult, if not impossible, to completely balance anyway.
The reason why we have these arguments and they're in constant debate is because the game is fabulously balanced, and the creators, as much as they do have some downfalls with some things, I think they've done a cracking job at creating a game that sparks debate as well. It's not just about the gameplay. What keeps people interested are things like these fiery debates. Was that fair? Was that not fair? It gives them that fire, right? Okay, so they've had a game that's felt unfair to them. So in the next game, they're going to play in a different way. They're going to play a bit meaner. As killer, I'm sure you'll know, we sometimes have this syndrome where we get bullied by the first set of survivors that we've played against, and we have a terrible game. They've absolutely annihilated us.
Yep.
So now we're going to switch around our perks on the next game, and we're going to play a bit dirtier.
Yeah.
And we're going to take it out on these next four sods that have just come in, not knowing what's gone on in the last game, and it completely changes. So I completely think the game is balanced, as much as people will sit there and fight me to the death over it. But that's exactly it. That's why we're fighting in the first place, because everybody has a different opinion, and some people think it's one way and some people think it's another. So yeah,
I love that you say that, though.
Job.
I love that you say it's not just the game itself, it's the fact that it sparks the debate and it sparks that the conversation. It creates the conversation and everything, because admittedly we've talked about some other things, but we have almost talked for an hour and a half about Dead by Daylight, and the fact, I'm not playing the game right now. You're not playing the game right now. We're literally just sitting here talking to each other. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the fact that definitely just like emphasizing your point there. It for sure, the sign of a good game is when I can tell you I've had just as much fun sitting here talking to you about Dead by Daylight as I would have had if I was actually playing the game.
And in my eyes, that's what makes a great game, is something that is, can keep relevant, keep conversation going outside of the actual gameplay itself.
Yeah, exactly. And look, for me, I can tell that you genuinely love the game and you have the passion for it, and you're going to keep playing it. Obviously, everyone knows that I do as well. So, I'm just super excited that we were able to get a chance to chat and get to know you a little bit more, and also hear about your Dead by Daylight experience, because it's important to know that everyone has a different experience, and we all learn differently, and we all go through different things. So is there anything else, I guess, that you wanted to talk about, or anything that you've got coming up that you want to bring up or anything?
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, for me, in regards to the future, the only thing I'm looking at now is potentially having a career where I can create content outside of streaming. So people, not because I want to by any means go anywhere away from Twitch, because it's my child, I love it. Yeah. But I would like to create content so that when I'm not live for those 6 to 8 hours of the day, my viewers, especially for people who are, in, like, for example, with you, different time zones. I want to create content that people can go back and watch whenever they want to. So that's for the future for me. I've just bought a very expensive vlogging camera that's cost me an arm and a leg. So I better bloody like it.
It's a tax write-off now, though. You're a full-time streamer. It's a tax write-off. Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, it will be. I'll tell you that now. So that's my next, for the future step, I guess. Be writing out some things. Another thing I would like to do and give you the exclusive. My idea for, here we go, a bit more exclusive. My plans are to help. No, I'm obviously first and foremost going to be creating gaming content, potentially for YouTube or something like that. But I would like to create a channel for people growing on Twitch. I feel like people will always say to me, obviously, get, like you've said today, getting into partner in less than a year is a great achievement, and I am very proud. Although it's one of those, I constantly want to be better, but I am proud of myself for doing it. I would like to help other people, so I'm potentially looking at having a educational channel on YouTube, potentially with helping Twitch streamers. Also maybe doing some odd videos, not primarily this, but some helping female Twitch streamers, because obviously things like grief and sexism and all of that kind of thing, blah, 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 we've heard it all before, but it is quite a massive thing with Twitch that I think makes people's experiences different, especially for women, on Twitch. So I would like to do maybe how to be a woman on Twitch. I think that would be a great video idea. And yeah, that's my plans for the future. I want to help other people now, and share, because I do like to gas on. I like to talk, if you hadn't already noticed.
I didn't notice, no.
I'd like to share, I want to now help other people as well as myself. So yeah.
No, that's awesome. I really, it's something that I strongly resonate with, and I genuinely look up to you as a creator now. I basically, I have followed you for a little while now, and we've got to know each other over. I don't even remember. I don't even know how long. It's not been a super long time, but you've definitely been someone that I've come. I watch a lot of people on Twitch, but I also don't watch a lot of people on Twitch, if that makes sense. So, like, I watch a lot of people, but I actually watch only a few people. As in, I'll be there actually hanging out and that kind of thing. So, it's definitely been really good to get to know you. And even today, like hearing more about your story, there's so much stuff that, even maybe people from your stream might not have even known. So,
yeah, exactly, yeah.
With your stream, did you want to like tell people where they can find you on your stream, or all your any of socials or anything like that?
Yeah, so, it's twitch.tv/Jeliottie. I have a TikTok, which is Jeliottie, the spelt, it's still spelt the same, but just with an extra E on the end. Jeliottie on Twitter, and it's Jazz Olivia on Instagram, but if you type in Jeliottie, I should come up too, because it's underneath that name. But yeah, so yeah, that's it.
Amazing. No, that's great.
Oh wait, and I have got a YouTube channel that is, I'm starting up my YouTube channel. There is a YouTube channel there for you to type in Jeliottie. I am there. There's only about 30 people following and no videos, but I will be starting a YouTube channel soon. So yeah, Jeliottie again.
Okay, awesome. I will definitely get you to send me all the links anyway. I'll put them in the description of this podcast episode. We'll also be give you the link as well to share with your community. And it's been really awesome to talk to you, and I'm sure that everyone's going to absolutely love hearing everything that you've had to say, and I'm going to get requests to have you back on the podcast and talk to you even more. So keep the schedule open.
Thank you for letting me. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for letting me be on the show. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
No, it's amazing. So again, I'll just say thank you for taking the time out of your day to come and speak to us, and I've really enjoyed it.
Okay, thank you.
Well, that is it, everybody. Another episode of Two in the Basement, down the hatch. Thank you so much for listening, and good luck in the fog.